hop community is trying to reconcile its historic struggles being homophobic. So are we saying that the next 50 years of hip hop are going to focus on anti-black masculinity? That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like the next 20 years of hip hop, we're going to see the promotion. We're going to see the promotion of anti-black masculinity. So y'all better get ready for this. You heard it from me first. Y'all heard it from me first. Y'all heard it. They're saying that rap has never embraced the rainbow gang. Nor should we. We have a right to disagree. I'm trying to understand, where did the white power structure? I'm trying to understand, where did the white power structure get the notion that black people don't have a right to make up their own mind about how they want to live their life? The same people that enslaved me are telling me I have to accept anti-African cultural expressions. The same people that dehumanized, murdered, beheaded, sodomized, castrated my ancestors are telling me that I have to accept European versions of culture and romance. I'm a bad human being if I don't accept anti-African expressions of romance. I'm a bad human being. But nobody's bad for killing black people. Nobody's bad for miseducating black people. Nobody's bad for gentrifying black people. Nobody's bad for the genocide of black people. But we are bad because we don't want to accept your global African depopulation strategies. Because we recognize that this is a global African depopulation strategy. And I see what's going on because hip hop is the most influential musical art form in the world. Because hip hop is the most influential musical art form in the world, y'all want to tenderize the masculinity of hip hop. Because if y'all can tenderize hip hop, if y'all can co-opt hip hop with your population control agenda, then wherever hip hop goes, so goes your agenda. I understand President Joe Biden. I understand Vice President Kamala Harris. I understand Secretary of State. I understand National Security Agency. I understand United Nations. I understand Rockefeller Trilaterals. I understand Rockefeller World Population Council. I understand Rockefeller Foreign Relations. I understand, family. I understand. I understand. So the hip hop community has to make a decision. We can respect everybody. We can respect everybody. But we have to be able to agree to disagree on things that are fundamentally opposed to the success and survival of African life and the African species. Life, culture, and species. What is the ancient Egyptian saying? 𝚂𝚄𝙱𝚂𝚲. Isn't that life, prosperity, health? You know, we have to take a long, hard look at hip hop culture. And we also have to look at the negativity that has been portrayed in hip hop. You know, the gangster rap takeover of hip hop that began in the late 80s, early 90s, the gangster rap takeover has to be evaluated. Or are we saying that hip hop will forever be dominated by gangster rap? That's the question. Will hip hop forever be dominated by gangster rap? Good morning, bro. How's everything? Happy Friday. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yes, with the hip hop, we have to look at the gangster rap, because as far as I'm concerned, if we are not going to sanitize gangster rap out of hip hop, then it might be time to throw hip hop out. I'm gonna say it. If the leading hip hop artists, the elders and the youth, the pioneers and the disciples of hip hop. If we are not going to sanitize gangster rap out of hip hop and turn hip hop back into the progressive, political, and positive art form that it was, then we might as well throw the whole thing out. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I don't want to. No. We're not going to play that game. We're not going to play that. Hip hop is different from rap. We are not going to play that game, because to me, that's a coward's game. That's a coward's game. That's for hip hop to say rap is not hip hop. That is a coward's game. You know why that's a coward's game? Because when y'all at the BET Awards, nobody makes that distinction. When y'all at the Grammy Awards, nobody makes that distinction. When y'all at the American Music Awards, nobody makes that distinction. When y'all at the Vibe Awards and the Source Awards, nobody gets up there and says, we need separate awards for hip hop and gangster rap. Nobody ever says that. The only time y'all want to separate gangster rap from hip hop is when you are asked to hold the gangster rappers accountable. Am I wrong, brothers and sisters? Am I wrong, brothers and sisters? Is it not true? Is it not true? Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. The only time you hear hip hop artists talk about separating gangster rap from hip hop is when it comes time to hold each other accountable. And since a lot of our pioneers are cowards, and a lot of the disciples of hip hop are also don't want to lose their credibility. They don't want to lose their credibility with the streets. They don't want to lose their credibility with the corner boys. They are afraid to hold gangster rap accountable. So don't tell me gangster rap is not hip hop when y'all don't make that distinction no other time. And if we need to debate this, let's get on the Breakfast Club and debate this. Somebody get 𝚂𝚗𝚗 on the phone. Get DJ Envy on the phone. Let's debate what is and what is not hip hop. And if gangster rap is not hip hop, why don't the hip hop community hold the gangster rappers accountable? Why don't you say they're different from everybody else? I've never heard y'all do that. Let's talk about Jay-Z. Let's talk about Jay-Z. Now, I would say the first half of his career, Jay-Z's content was gangster rap. Am I wrong? The first half of his career, Jay-Z's content was gangster rap, right? Would you separate Jay-Z from hip hop? Would you separate Sean Carter from hip hop? For the first half of his career, most of Jay-Z's content was negative and self-destructive. Would you separate Sean Carter from hip hop? No, you would not. No, you would not. You would not separate Sean Carter from hip hop. Would you separate Wu-Tang from hip hop? Would you separate Wu-Tang from hip hop? Even though I think Wu-Tang had a lot more conscious content than a lot of the other artists. Of course, y'all wouldn't separate it from hip hop. So if you're not going to separate Wu-Tang from hip hop, you're not going to separate Jay-Z from hip hop, who's another? Would you separate Kool G Rap from hip hop? No, you would not. You would not separate Kool G Rap from hip hop. Exactly. Exactly. Because some of the greatest lyricists were gangster rappers. So since you're not going to separate gangster rap from hip hop, that means gangster rap is a part of hip hop. And those who have a problem with it and recognize gangster rap is not productive for the community, y'all need to go ahead and hold a convention in honor of the 50 years of hip hop. And it's time to sanitize hip hop. It's time to sanitize gangster rap out of hip hop. Who's some more gangster rappers who are some of the top artists of all time? Who are some more gangster rappers who are the top artists of all time? Who are some more gangster rappers? Give me some more. Common Sense, he's not a gangster rapper. Common Sense is positive. Little Nas X, I don't know what he's into. Satanism, demonism, I don't know what that guy into. But give me some more top rap artists. Would you separate NWA from hip hop? Would you separate NWA from hip hop? Would you separate Lil Wayne from hip hop? Would you separate Snoop Dogg from hip hop? Peace, good brother. Would you separate them from hip hop? No, you would. Would you separate the Notorious B.I.G. from hip hop? Would you separate? No, you would not. So if you're not going to separate, the gangster rappers from hip hop, that means gangster rap is a part of hip hop. And hip hop has a responsibility to sanitize the gangster rap element out of the culture. You have to sanitize the gangster rap element out of the culture. You have to sanitize the gangster rap element out of the culture. And if y'all don't want to do that, I don't want to hear no more peace in the streets from the hip hop community. I don't want to hear no more peace in the streets from the hip hop community. Nobody's drill rap is a part of gangster rap. Don't try to make the drill rappers worse than the gangster rappers. They are all responsible for promoting and celebrating black genocide. Can we be honest? Can we be honest? Can we be honest? Or are we going to be cowards? Let me tell you what this conversation sounds like. Let me tell you what this conversation sounds like. Let me tell you, know what this conversation sounds like? This is the conversation you have with the Christians or the Muslims. Much respect to my Muslims and Christians, no disrespect. Much respect to my Muslims and Christians, no disrespect. Much respect to my Muslims and Christians. But this is the same conversation when you talk about churches that exploit the black community financially. This is the same cowardly tactic you get from the Christian community when you talk about churches that exploit the black community. What do the Christians say? Instead of holding those churches accountable, you know what they say? That's not Jesus. That's not Christianity. This is what they do because they're too afraid to hold other churches accountable. They say, that's not Jesus. That's not real Christianity. That's not true Christianity. But you don't say that no other time. You don't say that no other time. You don't say that no other time. When I'm talking to my Muslim brothers and I say, what about the Muslim brothers who do bad things in the black community? What about the Muslim brothers who do bad things in the black community? You know what they say? That's not Islam. That's not what the Prophet Muhammad taught. But to me, that's a coward. Only a coward would do that. Because if you're not a coward, you don't have a problem holding the gangster rappers accountable. You don't have a problem telling the gangster rappers, we don't want no more profanity. We don't want no more misogyny. We don't want no more violence. We don't want no more negativity in the hip hop community. That's what a real man would do. But because a lot of the hip hoppers are cowards, they scared of the gangster rappers, they're not going to hold them accountable. They're not going to hold them accountable. They're not going to hold them. That's the real conversation we need to have. We celebrating 50 years of hip hop? Or are we going to have a real conversation about hip hop? Are we going to have a real conversation about hip hop? Or are we just supposed to celebrate this as if it's the greatest thing that ever happened to the black community, even though the hip hop community hasn't built a single relevant institution for the people? 50 years, can somebody show me a single relevant institution? 50 years of hip hop, right? Can somebody show me a single relevant institution that the hip hop community has built for black America? I'll wait for an answer. Have they built a school? Have they built a supermarket? Have they built a factory? Have they built a bank? What I said, relevant institution. I don't have a problem with the hip hop museum. I don't have a problem with the hip hop museum, but I will say this. As an advocate of black children, I have to say this. No disrespect to the Zulu nation. I'll be seeing my good brother 𝚂𝚗𝙕 in Atlanta. No disrespect to the Zulu nation. I'll be seeing my good brother 𝚂𝚗𝙕 from the Zulu nation in Atlanta on the 19th. But Africa Bambaataa, until we have had a community tribunal on the allegations against Africa Bambaataa, until there has been a community tribunal on the allegations against Africa Bambaataa, he cannot be the curator of the Hip Hop Museum. This is Dr. Umar's official position. I don't know if he's innocent. I don't know if he's guilty. But until there has been a thorough investigation and community tribunal on the allegations made against Africa Bambaataa so he can defend his name or so he can be convicted by the community. I'm not talking about court. I'm talking about community justice. We need a tribunal on the charges and allegations made against Africa Bambaataa